One moment in the humanities that is very important to me is when I was just starting out as an intern. You're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you don't know anything and know where anything is. I'm covering nights, and I'm covering 30, 40 patients, and they're very, very sick. And there was a patient who was delirious, and he was getting out of bed, and he had packed his clothes up, and he was stark naked, and he wanted to leave right then and there. He wanted to leave now, but he was going home tomorrow to go to hospice. And so here we are, 2 o'clock in the morning. What are we going to do for this guy who's agitated and getting more agitated? And I said, well, what's he been doing or saying, or what's the give me an angle to work with. Give me a line that I can hold on to. I say, well, what has he been saying? And they say, well, he's been writing nonsense. All night he's been writing nonsense and getting out of bed and writing more nonsense. And we can't make heads or tails of it. So I go see him, and he is delirious. He doesn't know where he is, when he is, what he's doing there, what are the purposes of all these people around him. And he wants to go home. He's mouthing it, And so I look at him and I go, sir, you're in the hospital. You are going home tomorrow. Why do you need to leave now? And I go get him this big manila envelope with a black marker, big black marker, and I hand it to him, and he starts writing. And he hands it to the sitter, and the sitter looks at it and says, see, it's more nonsense. And I looked at it, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I just saw these words. Tomorrow creeps in this petty pace. And I looked at him and I went, it's not nonsense. It's Shakespeare. That this man had been communicating in part in pieces of Shakespeare. And what's important about that particular line, which I'll unpack, is it wasn't just the monkey on the typewriter. Oh, he happened to have produced this beautiful line at this moment in time. That piece of Macbeth comes at a very crucial and parallel moment to this man's life, where somebody says to Macbeth asks somebody, how doth the queen? And they say, oh, the queen is dead, my lord. And there's this pause, and he says, well, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last recorded syllable of time. And all the yesterdays lead but the way to dusty death. Out, out, breathe candle. Life is but a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. A tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That's the line. That's the feeling that he had. That is somewhere deep, in the gyri and sulci. He wasn't able to form new, semantic structures. He wasn't able to say, I'm in pain and I hurt and everything is going wrong and I just want to go home. But he could say, tomorrow creeps in this petty pace. And I heard it and I knew what it meant. And I knew what it meant from high school, when you're in a little portable in Maine, in an overcrowded school. And your teacher says okay, we're going to learn about Shakespeare or whatnot. And we do it, and that stuck, that piece stuck. And there it was. And so I heard it, and I heard him. And so I recite it. And you take him by the hands and you go, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace, and you can see he's looking at you. Something's familiar. I have no idea whatsoever if he heard the words or understood the words or it clicked, but something was familiar to him about that. And so, his whole countenance changed. He really looked at you. It went from that 1,000-yard stare to really looking at you. And you've just got him by the hands, and I'm saying the whole thing I just said, and you're getting him into bed, and you're unpacking his clothes that was in his suitcase because he was ready to go, stark naked, he was ready to go. put him back in his Johnny, and you put him back in bed, and that's that. For a few hours, he came back rip-roaring, a few hours later, and there was nothing we could do. No element of the bard was going to make any difference at that point to him. But there was a time when it did, and that mattered to him, and so it mattered to me, and that's that moment.